February 20th, 2019 marks 50 years since the landmark Supreme Court ruling of Tinker v. Moines in 1969. This ruling was on the wearing of armbands and if their speech was protected under the First Amendment. The case is generally seen as a turning point for student-free speech, student rights, and what rights were protected under the First Amendment. Both kids grew up in Iowa, and their parents always believed that faith should be put to action. Mary Beth and John Tinker, ages 13 and 15, on December 16, 1965, went to school wearing black armbands representing their anger towards the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. They were told by the school board that they were disrupting the peace, quiet, and learning of the other students in the school. Through their parents, they sued the school for taking away their free speech rights. They were suspended for a day for wearing the armbands. When they came back from their suspension, instead of wearing the black armbands, they wore all black clothing for the rest of the year and were not suspended for it. Before Mary Beth and John, there was a boy named Christopher Eckhart who wore free speech buttons to school, and that inspired them to wear the armbands. Only a few out of the many students at the school wore the armbands, and 5 were suspended for it. The school board figured out their plan beforehand and set the ban in place, but these students did it anyway. They went to court to discuss the decision. When they went, the court said the school needed to show that the speech would not interfere with the discipline to keep the school functioning. The deciding vote for this case was Justice Abe Fortas. The win was a victory for all public schools. It was a 7-2 majority that the armbands represented free speech and they were not disrupting the learning of others. The court dismissed the case and said that schools' actions were reasonable to uphold school discipline, but they did not have the power to take away student free speech if it were not disruptive. The district saw that the armbands that were worn in form of expressing views was a type of symbolic speech that is protected by the First Amendment. The example of Tinker still remains that students have free speech rights in public schools. Since this case, 3 court rulings have cut back on student free speech. It was a turning point because it showed that student free speech is entitled to all public schools. The case still remains that students have free speech rights in public schools if they are expressing their views in a peaceful way. Many years after, it has still been considered a landmark, and many court decisions have relied on free speech since. The people at the school board were trying to make it seem like they did not know anything about what they were doing, how they were just young kids, and how they didn't know about what they were speaking about and protesting for. When they went to court, the court asked what they had gotten the cloth for the armbands. The children said that they had bought the cloth with their own money, and that their parents had nothing to do with it. After their protest, Mary Beth got a call from an unknown number. She picked up, and the woman said, "Are you Mary Beth?" She said yes, and the woman said, "I'm going to kill you." Both of the children after this call received threats, some to blow up their home or kill them. During an interview, when they were both older, they talked about what their thoughts were on what had happened. Mary Beth said she was scared, and not know their family would ever be in that position, and John said that he was never really scared for some reason, even though he said that his bedroom was in the front of the house and was able to see out in the front yard through the window. He said if a bomb was thrown through the window that he would just cover himself with a mattress and wait. Student free speech, student rights, and their rights under the First Amendment were critically impacted by the 1969 Tinker v. Moines case. Many Supreme Court cases have translated to student free speech or the rights under the First Amendment after the Tinker case. The majority opinion was on how the students or teachers don't leave their free speech rights at the school doors. From Justice Abe Fortas' majority opinion, it can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate.